Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I have a video using a super old collection from Lime Twist called Out of the Blue. I'm going to be using a sketch from Scrapbook Generation from the sketches with the 4x6 photos only. This was a Facebook group a couple of years ago. I'm going to be using sketch number 2. I have some of the pieces that are actually like cardstock pieces, and then I have some that are probably like that second run where it's like super thin, almost like copy paper thin. But it's a collection that I love the colors in, so I keep it around because every time that I think about like boy layouts, the colors are just so perfect. I love the orange, green, blues, and yellows together. I decided to pull out this star paper, and I was thinking that I would use it as the larger piece on the left-hand side, but then I was like, it's too busy. So I pulled out this orange paper instead, and I love that distress on the side. I think it's just a cool element that was added to the paper. So I decided to move the paper to the side so that I could actually see the distressing and it didn't get covered up. I then decided to pull the star paper back out because I could use it in a smaller chunk on top of the orange paper. And then I'm going to also use the star paper on the right-hand side of the layout. Then I'm just going through my scraps and seeing what other pieces I can add in. I found this blue gingham paper. It was already cut down to the correct width. I just needed to cut it down to the correct size. All of the paper is 10 inches tall. And then what I'm doing is just kind of measuring it up to the sketch. So the orange paper on the left is going to be 10.5 inches. And then that star paper on the left is 2 inches. The star paper on the right is 1.5 inches. That teal paper, the gingham one, is 1/2 inch. And then that navy paper that I just cut is also 1/2 inch. And then these little strips here are going to be 1/4 inch. Just the stripe paper to bring in all of the colors, even though I'm able to do that as well with the stars. The sketch actually calls for a 4x6 photo on the bottom right-hand side, and then also a little embellishment cluster there to fill in that space. But I didn't have another photo, so I was looking through the paper trying to decide what I wanted to use. I actually auditioned quite a few different pieces of paper. I thought this collection had cut-apart cards that I could use, but then after going through it, I realized there wasn't. But then I found this paper that had that funky shape to it. Do you guys remember this paper from way back when? I felt like this type of paper was in like every collection when this collection was popular, and I never knew what to do with any of them. I cut it down so that it would fit in the height of that area, and then cutting off either edge so that it would fit in the width, and I love the way that that looks there. I do go ahead and mat both of my photos on the left-hand side in that striped paper as well. Once I get those adhered down, I will use my layering guides to cut the layers around it. And I love the extra color that pops against the orange background piece. These photos are of Eli from back in 2020, and he had a friend come over. I think I've done another layout where they had s'mores on the back porch. Our back porch is technically considered a Florida room because it is tiled and it has windows on all 4 sides. Now, it's just like screened in windows. Definitely not something where you could comfortably sit out there, especially in the summer. He wanted to camp out, and I put that in quotations, very much so. He wanted to sleep on the Florida room. We brought the air mattresses out, one for both of them. However, he also wanted to have his entertainment. So in one of the photos, if you look really closely, you can see the TV, and the boys are playing video games on the TV. So we brought the TV from his room, set it up on the floor at the door so that they could play the video games but be outside. It's one of those things that you want to give them some independence, but he's definitely not going to sleep outside. So the Florida room gives them the opportunity to sleep outside, and I put that in quotations because it is a closed-in structure, but not really. But they had a blast out there. This was after we had done the s'mores, which I'll link that video at the end if you guys want to watch that. I did that video quite a while ago. So I have adhered most of the paper down. I got all of the left-hand side of the layout down. I'm working on the right-hand side. I started out with the 2 4x6 photos and then went to the strips on the far right hand side because I wanted to make sure that I had the exact right space for that big printed paper down at the bottom. This roll of 1/8 inch adhesive, I feel like is going on forever. I picked this up at scrapbook.com. It's their clear double-sided adhesive roll, and it's like 81 feet, and it's the scrapbook.com brand, but I swear I feel like I have used this thing forever, and it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So once I get all of the strips down, I go ahead and add that yellow funky shape paper to the right hand side, and that's actually where my title is going to sit. And then I did a little bit of paper shaving because the orange paper was a little bit larger than the striped paper. So just using my T-square ruler and X-Acto knife to trim that off. After I got all the photos and the paper down, I decided that I wanted to do some stitching on this layout. This layout was completed a little while ago, and I had not gotten my new poker tool yet. I am using my older ruler. It has larger stitching guides to it, and I still like this ruler. I interchange between the two rulers that I have. The clear ruler has large spaces between the holes, so I have a longer stitch and I can see more thread. Whereas the Tim Holtz ruler has the holes closer together, so the thread between the holes obviously is a lot smaller. It's different between them, and it just gives them a different look. Depending on which layout I'm completing will depend on which type I use the ruler, but I will tell you the Tim Holtz ruler is probably one of my favorites. I decided to pull out thread in orange as well as a lighter blue and more of like a navy blue. I'm going to add the navy blue to obviously the navy color, the lighter blue to the gingham paper, and then I'm going to add 3 strips of orange over on the left hand side, really framing the photo in that larger orange block. Over there on the far left next to the striped paper, I'm going to put a row of stitching as well. And then I do show you a little bit of the stitching here. I basically just showing you that I was using washi tape on the back and adding that down. I have since changed over to adding knots to it. It just makes it a little bit easier. Washi tape tends to fall off, and I usually don't have a problem with it knotting it in the back. Just 2 different types of techniques that you can use on your layouts, whether you use the washi tape or the knotting on the back. So once I get all of the stitching done, I do go ahead and adhere my photos down. I did put those photos up on fun foam to give it a little bit of dimension. And then I'm just going to look through some of the embellishments that came with this collection first. I found this tag here that says Best Buddies, so I did go ahead and put that up on fun foam. And I'm going to add it to the far right hand side of the photo, kind of covering up some of that dead space in the photos. And I really like this hot air balloon. It doesn't really go with the layout, but I just like the way that it looked, and I liked that contrast of the orange and the white against the orange paper, but it doesn't end up making it on the layout. I went ahead and looked through my embellishment books and found some pieces that I thought might work. I found this frame in the orange polka dot, and I'm going to cut it in a banner, and I'm going to cover that banner piece up completely. So it was pointless to cut it in that banner. I did also find this blue circle. This circle is probably from LE Studio. That's usually where I end up getting my little tag pieces from. They have tons of cluster starters, is probably the best way to explain it. And whenever they're on sale, I usually tend to pick up a bunch of them. I also found this sticker that says an everyday kind of adventure, which I felt like was appropriate for these photos because it's not really anything fancy. It's just the boys hanging out on the back porch. And then for the left-hand side, I did find this sticker here that says happiness. And I love the fact that the colors matched so well with this collection. It doesn't go with this collection. I think that's actually like a Simple Stories piece, but it was really nice that the colors matched so well. And then of course, using that Post-it note half circle up there in the upper right-hand corner, I feel like I've had those forever as well. If you think about how many Post-its are in a Post-it note, but in that shape, and I get so many uses out of it. Over on the left-hand side, I did have this ticket that was in that teal color. So I'm adding the fun foam directly to the layout. So then adding the happiness on top of it. And then I'm going to add the ticket kind of tucked underneath the happiness sticker. And just messing around with the fun foam to make sure it all stands up correctly. Then I pulled out my color boxes in orange, blue, and green. I added some stars to each one of the clusters. I really wanted to make this white star work. It just didn't work though. I was at a crop with Abby and she was giving them away. Like there's a free table at the crop and we usually bring stuff that we no longer want. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take those. And I've tried to use them on so many different layouts and just haven't had the opportunity to make them work yet. I pulled out my glue press to make sure that all of the enamel shapes were down properly. And then I'm going to start working on my title. I found this sticker sheet that I think is from Chamel, and I picked it up at Tuesday morning, and it had the word friends in this navy color that's also glittery. So I was trying to work a title around that. So I found this other thicker sheet that had the word better on it in black. My title is going to be Life is Better with Friends, using those two words that were already created for me and then adding to it with some other thickers. Because I had that black thicker piece, I didn't have any black over on the left hand side, so I did go ahead and pull out a star and added it to the cluster on the left. And then I had these like off-white thickers that I'm going to spell out the word life, and then I'm going to use the Simple Stories Color Vibe tile stickers to spell out the word with, and I am going to put that up on foam strips. After I get the word with put together, I put it in the wrong place. I don't know what I was thinking with the title. My title would have been, if I left it there, Life with Better Friends, but that didn't make any sense at all. So I ended up going ahead and adding the word is in the same thickers that I used the word life. So Life is Better with Friends. What I've decided to do recently was pairing my journaling together. It is a pain to do it this way because I have to go back and look at my journaling sheet and make sure that they are in the right order. But I feel like it just makes it easier. Every 3 to 4 videos, you'll be seeing me put journaling on the layouts, and then just know that all those other strips of paper that are hanging around this layout have gone on other layouts that probably have already gone up. And in those videos, I said that I was going to journal off camera. So I was trying to find a place for it. I liked it in that title cluster, but it just didn't fit. So the journaling says, Eli and Anderson were the ultimate back porch buddy during their sleepovers. They'd whip out the air mattresses and dive into epic gaming battles. True pals having an absolute blast. And then I have the date. So once I get those journaling strips down, that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.